In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to tell you something about Cristiano Ronaldo's 2026 World Cup that nobody on YouTube is saying, not the pundits, not the so-called experts, not the channels that just recycle headlines and call it analysis. Because what you've been told about this tournament is wrong. You've been told this is the fairy tale ending, the final dance, the last shot at the one trophy he never won. You've been told that Ronaldo is here for the romance of it, for the storyline, for the closure. That's not what's happening. What's happening is something far more interesting, far more dangerous, and far more unlikely than any movie script Hollywood could ever write. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this World Cup is not Ronaldo's farewell tour. It's his last act of defiance. He's 41 years old. He plays his club football in Saudi Arabia. He hasn't scored a knockout stage World Cup goal in 12 years. The pre-tournament narrative has already buried him as a passenger on this team, a ceremonial captain, a face on the poster while Bruno Fernandes does the actual work. And he knows it. Every single word written about him in the last 6 months, he has read. That's the part nobody understands. This isn't a man riding off into the sunset. This is a man who has spent the last 4 years quietly building toward one final, calculated mission. A mission that started the moment he walked off the pitch in Qatar in 2022, with his career obituary already being written. You think you've watched Cristiano Ronaldo. You haven't watched this version. Nobody has. Because this version was constructed in secret over 4 years, on training grounds in Riyadh, in private sessions nobody filmed, with a plan nobody but him fully understands. If you've ever doubted him, this video is going to make you uncomfortable. If you've ever believed in him, this video is going to make you understand what you're really watching. Because what's about to happen across the United States, Canada, and Mexico this summer is not what you think it is. Lock in. This is the untold story of Cristiano Ronaldo's 2026 World Cup comeback. The mission nobody sees. Every great athlete reaches a moment in their career when the world decides they're done, the crowd moves on, the new generation arrives, the conversation shifts, and the player either accepts it or refuses it. Ronaldo refused it in 2018. He refused it in 2022, and he is refusing it now in 2026 with more conviction than at any previous point in his life. Here is the part most people don't understand. The World Cup is not just a missing trophy in his cabinet. It is the only thing standing between him and the cleanest, most uncontested GOAT argument in football history. He knows that. His critics know that. His fans know that. Every single piece of analysis you read about his career eventually circles back to this one fact. He never lifted the World Cup. 5 Champions Leagues, a Euro, 2 Nations Leagues, 5 Ballons d'Or, 143 international goals, more than any man who has ever played the game, over 950 career goals. But not this one, not yet. For 20 years, this single absence has been used as the punctuation mark on every Ronaldo conversation, the asterisk that critics use to keep him just below Messi, the line that pundits use to deflate the legacy. And while he has rarely talked about it directly, the people closest to him will tell you that nothing in football has eaten at him more. That is the surface mission, the visible one, the one everyone understands. But the deeper mission, the one this video is actually about, is something else. Because at 41 years old, with Portugal carrying a squad that is genuinely one of the most talented in the world, Ronaldo is no longer just chasing a trophy. He is chasing the right to define how his story ends. He is chasing the chance to silence, in one final tournament, every single voice that has been telling him for the last 4 years that he should have retired already. Think about that for a moment. Imagine being the most famous footballer alive. Imagine being told for 4 straight years, every single week, that you are washed, that you are damaging your team's chances by being on the pitch, that you are an ego that refuses to step aside, that your time has passed. And imagine that you don't believe a single word of it. That is the mental state Cristiano Ronaldo brings into this World Cup. Not a man saying goodbye, a man saying, watch. The numbers nobody wants to talk about. Now let me hit you with something that's going to make some of you uncomfortable. Look at Ronaldo's World Cup record. Really look at it. His best finish at a World Cup was 4th place. That was in 2006. He was 21 years old. It was his first tournament. He has never gone past the quarterfinals since. He has scored 1 single knockout stage goal in his entire World Cup career. 1. In 22 World Cup matches, across 5 tournaments, 1 knockout stage goal. Now compare that to his club career. Compare that to his Champions League knockout record. Compare that to the man who carried Real Madrid to 4 Champions Leagues in 5 years by being the most reliable big game scorer of his generation. The disparity is one of the strangest statistical mysteries in modern football. Why has the biggest stage of all consistently shrunk him? This is the question nobody on YouTube actually asks, because it's uncomfortable. If you're a Ronaldo fan, the answer hurts. If you're a Ronaldo critic, the answer is too convenient and you don't want to look deeper. But here is what I think, and I want you to hear me out. The World Cup is structurally hostile to Ronaldo's strengths. At club level, especially at Real Madrid, he had elite midfielders feeding him the ball in dangerous areas. He had a system designed around his movement. He had Modric and Kroos and Casemiro creating the conditions for him to be lethal. He had Marcelo overlapping. He had a tactical environment built over years specifically to maximize what he does best. At the World Cup, Portugal has never had that infrastructure. Not in 2010, not in 2014, not in 2018, not in 2022. Every tournament, Portugal has tried to build a system around Ronaldo and never quite succeeded. The midfield was either too defensive, the wingers were either too direct, the tactical identity was either too rigid or too chaotic. And here is the contrarian thing I'm going to say. Maybe Ronaldo is not the reason Portugal has underachieved at World Cups. Maybe Portugal is the reason Ronaldo has underachieved at World Cups. Think about it. He has spent his entire career being the finishing point of a system. He is not, and has never been, a system builder. He is not Messi. He does not drop deep and create the structure of the attack. He is the missile. Other people build the launcher. For 20 years, Portugal has tried to build the launcher and never quite figured it out. And now, in 2026, for the first time in his career, they may have actually done it. That is the part nobody is saying. The 2026 Portugal squad might be the first World Cup team Ronaldo has ever had that is structurally capable of getting him into the right positions in the right moments. And if that is true, then everything you think you know about how this tournament is going to go for him is about to be flipped on its head. The body that refused to quit. Let me ask you something. How do you stay sharp at 41 years old in a sport designed for 24-year-olds? The honest answer is, you usually don't. You can't. The biology won't let you. After about 30, almost every athletic system in your body starts to decline. Your VO2 max drops about 1% per year. Your fast-twitch muscle fibers atrophy. Your tendon elasticity decreases. Your recovery time slows down. Your sleep architecture changes. Your testosterone drops. Your visual processing speed reduces. Your reaction time slows. By 40, the average former athlete is barely recognizable as the player they once were. Yet here is Cristiano Ronaldo, 41 years old, still scoring goals at international level, still finishing as Portugal's top scorer in qualification, still in the starting 11 for arguably his best chance at a World Cup, still passing every fitness test the medical staff throws at him. How? This is something I want you to actually sit with, Because the answer is not what social media tells you. It is not the cold plunges. It is not the protein shakes. It is not the 8 hours of sleep on a special mattress. Those things help, but they are not the answer. Plenty of athletes do all of those things and decline anyway. Plenty of footballers have personal trainers and nutritionists and sleep coaches, and they still fall apart at 33. The real answer is something much more uncomfortable. Ronaldo's longevity is built on a foundation that started when he was 17 years old. It is built on 25 consecutive years of obsessive, daily, fanatical attention to his body. Not seasonally, not in pre-season camps, daily, without break, without exception, without the kind of compromise that virtually every other footballer his age made at some point. Look, Messi went to a doctor at 13 because he wasn't growing. The biology cards he got dealt forced him to think about his body differently. Ronaldo got dealt a different hand. He was big, he was fast, he was athletic by 16. He could have coasted on raw genetics for a decade and been an excellent professional. He did the opposite. He outworked every advantage he had. He treated talent like a baseline and obsession like the multiplier. Here is the part that gets ignored. When you train your body that obsessively for that long, you do not just maintain it. You actually rewire what the body considers normal. Your nervous system adapts. Your fascia adapts. Your tendons adapt. Your cardiovascular system adapts. By the time you reach 40, your body operates as if it is 30, not because you tricked it, but because you taught it for 2 decades that 30 is the normal state. This is why he can still play. Not because of some secret routine, because of 25 years of refusing to take a single day off when nobody was watching. Now, here is the question that matters for 2026. Is the body still good enough for World Cup football specifically? Because World Cup football is different. It is brutal. It is hot. It is condensed. 7 matches in 30 days against the best players in the world. In June and July, in venues across the United States. In temperatures that some scientists have warned could be worse than Qatar's winter. Ronaldo is going to have to do something no 41-year-old field player has ever done at this level. He is going to have to perform 7 times in a month under conditions designed to break much younger men, and he believes he can. The tactical reinvention Martinez engineered. Now we get to the part that almost nobody talks about properly. Roberto Martinez took over Portugal in January 2023, the Belgian who took the Red Devils to a World Cup semi-final and then watched his golden generation fall apart in front of him. The coach everyone had written off after 2022. The man who got hired by Portugal mostly because Fernando Santos had finally run out of credit after benching Ronaldo against Switzerland. And in 3.5 years, Martinez has done something quietly brilliant. He has rebuilt the entire Portuguese national team around a question almost nobody is asking out loud. The question is this: how do you build a tactical system that does not depend on Ronaldo, but also does not waste him? Read that again, because it is the hardest tactical question in international football right now. You cannot build the team around Ronaldo anymore. He cannot press the way he used to. He cannot cover the ground he used to. He cannot stretch defenses with his sprints the way he could at 28. If you build the team around him, you handicap a squad that has Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, João Neves, Rafael Leao, Pedro Neto, Nuno Mendes, Ruben Diaz, and a wave of young talent that is genuinely world-class. But you cannot just exclude him either, because when he is on the pitch and the team plays toward him properly, he still scores. He scored more in qualifying than anyone in Europe. He still finishes chances that 95% of strikers in the world would miss. His value in the box has not collapsed. His value outside the box has. So Martinez built something attacking hybrid. A system where Ronaldo plays as a fixed striker, where Portugal's creative midfielders carry the game state work, where the wide attackers cover the territory Ronaldo cannot, and where Ronaldo's only job in the final third is to be in the right place at the right time. It is a system that asks Ronaldo to do less than he has ever been asked to do in his career. And here is the brilliant part. Ronaldo has accepted it. Read the quotes from his teammates. Read the body language in friendlies. Watch how he plays in qualification. He is not trying to be the system anymore. He is letting the system be the system and choosing his moments inside it. This is the version of Ronaldo nobody believed he would ever become. A team player, a finisher, a focal point without being a focus. If you have watched football for any length of time, you know how rare this kind of acceptance is from a 41-year-old superstar with 5 Ballons d'Or. Ego usually wins. Pride usually wins. The need to prove, still being central, usually wins. Not here, not in this version, not in this final mission. And that, more than anything else, is why I think Portugal has a chance to do something special in 2026. The Bruno Fernandes problem. Let's talk about the player Ronaldo's mission actually depends on. And it is not Ronaldo himself. It is Bruno Fernandes. At 31 years old, Bruno is the most important player in this Portugal squad. Not the most famous, not the most beloved, but by every analytical measure, by every tactical metric, by every conversation inside the camp, he is the player who decides what this team does. Bruno is the engine. He carries the ball forward, he provides the assists, he creates the chances, he breaks lines, he defends from the front. He is the modern, complete attacking midfielder, and for the last 6 years, he has been quietly building one of the most underrated international careers of his generation. Here is what is interesting. Bruno and Ronaldo were teammates at Manchester United during the disastrous final stretch of Ronaldo's English career. Multiple reports leaked about tension, about Ronaldo blaming Bruno for not standing up against the manager, about Bruno feeling caught between his captain and his coach. And then something happened. They went to the World Cup in 2022 together. Ronaldo got dropped. Bruno scored against Uruguay and immediately ran to celebrate with Ronaldo on the bench. Whatever was broken between them, they had to repair publicly because the team came first. Fast forward to 2026. In every public moment, Bruno defers to Ronaldo. He praises him. He celebrates with him. He calls him the captain in interviews. And Ronaldo, in turn, talks about Bruno like an equal partner. The chemistry that was once fractured has been restored, partly because they are both old enough now to understand what the team needs from them. Here is the tactical reality. If Bruno plays at his peak in this tournament, Ronaldo will score goals. Period. Because Bruno will create the kind of chances that Ronaldo at 41 can still convert. If Bruno is contained, if opposing midfields figure out how to neutralize him, then Portugal becomes far more predictable, and Ronaldo becomes a static target that defenses can manage. This is why scouts of every opposing team in Portugal's group have spent the last 6 months not preparing for Ronaldo. They are preparing for Bruno. They know that if you stop the supply, the famous finisher cannot finish. What nobody is talking about, though, is how much Ronaldo's presence on the pitch creates space for Bruno to operate. When defenders are watching Ronaldo, even at 41, they are not fully watching Bruno. The weight of Ronaldo's reputation, the historical fear of giving him a sniff in the box, drags defensive attention even when his actual threat has reduced. That is the strange gravitational force a legend exerts in his final tournament. Ronaldo's mission is not just to score, it is to create the gravitational pull that lets the rest of his team flourish. And if that is what he does, then we may see Portugal go further than anyone expects. The Diogo Jota factor. Now I need to talk about something heavy, because it sits underneath this entire Portuguese tournament like a quiet weight that everyone in the camp carries, but few outside the team fully understand. Diogo Jota. The Liverpool forward who tragically passed away, the teammate who was supposed to be in this squad, the player who many believed could have been the partner Ronaldo needed up top during this final tournament. Roberto Martinez announced the squad with a single phrase that has been picked up across Portuguese media. He described it as 27 players plus one, the one being Jota. He said the team would carry his dream into the tournament. He said they would fight for Diogo. You cannot quantify what this does to a team. You cannot put it in an expected goals model. You cannot factor it into a tactical analysis, but it changes everything. Football is a human game, and human stories drive human performances. Portugal is not just going to a tournament now, they are going to a tournament with a mission that exists beyond themselves. Every player in that dressing room knows that their performances mean something more this time. Ronaldo, who was close to Jota, who played with him at the international level for years, carries this in a particular way. At 41, this is his last World Cup. He knows that. The team knows that. Jota's memory adds a layer of urgency, of meaning, that this team would not otherwise have. There is a famous psychological pattern in elite sports, where teams playing for something beyond themselves consistently outperform their statistical expectations. The 2004 Greek Euro winners, the 2010 Spain team that finally found their identity after years of underachievement, the 2022 Argentina team carrying Messi's last shot. Teams that are playing for a story, not just a result, do things that pure tactical analysis cannot predict. Portugal in 2026 is one of those teams, and Ronaldo, in his final tournament, is the central figure in that story. By the way, if you've made it this far and you're enjoying the breakdown, do me one favor, hit subscribe. We're doing this kind of deep analysis for every major storyline of the 2026 World Cup, and you won't want to miss a single video. The red card that almost ended everything. Now let's talk about the moment that almost destroyed the entire mission before it even began. In November of last year, Portugal played the Republic of Ireland in Dublin in qualifying. Ronaldo, in a moment that he has not publicly explained well, lashed out and was given a straight red card. The reaction was immediate. Pundits called it ego. Pundits called it desperation. Pundits called it a sign that his time had passed, that he could not handle being challenged anymore. For a moment, it looked like he would miss the opening matches of the World Cup. He had been given a suspension that, depending on how FIFA chose to interpret it, could have carried into the group stage. FIFA eventually reduced the suspension. He was reprieved. He will play. But for several weeks, that red card sat over the entire Portuguese campaign like a question mark. Was the captain a liability? Was the temperament that had once driven him now the thing that would undo him? Here is what I think this incident actually shows, and you can disagree with me in the comments. Ronaldo's red card was not a sign of decline. It was a sign of unfinished business. It was the reaction of a man who knows he is running out of time and cannot tolerate setbacks the way younger players can. It was the visible expression of a pressure that has been building inside him for 4 years. Critics interpreted it as proof that he should have already retired. I interpret it as proof that the fire is still uncontrolled, which means it is still burning. The day Cristiano Ronaldo stops reacting emotionally to football is the day he is actually done. As long as the rage is still there, the mission is still alive. The red card was the closest his mission ever came to being cancelled before it started. And the fact that it was not, the fact that FIFA reduced the suspension, the fact that he steps onto American soil to face the Democratic Republic of the Congo with his full availability, is itself a kind of cosmic permission. The universe has cleared the deck. Now it is up to him. What Portugal actually has. Forget everything you thought about Portugal for a second. If you take Ronaldo off this team and judge the rest of the squad on its own merit, you are still looking at one of the 4 or 5 best squads at this tournament. That is the part that gets lost in the noise. In goal, Diogo Jota is one of the best young goalkeepers in Europe. The defense is anchored by Ruben Dias, a Champions League winner who is genuinely one of the elite centre-backs in the world. Nuno Mendes, when fit, is a top 3 left-back on the planet. The defensive depth is real. In midfield, you have Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, and João Neves. Read that again. Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, and João Neves. There is not a national team in this tournament with that combination of creativity, ball progression, and game intelligence. Spain might be close, France might be close, nobody else is. In attack, beyond Ronaldo, you have Rafael Leao, Pedro Neto, João Felix, Francisco Conceição, Gonçalo Ramos, Francisco Trincão. Mixed talent levels, sure, some players in form, some not. But the depth is real, the youth is real, and the variety of attacking profiles is real. This is not a one-man team anymore. This is not Ronaldo plus 10 supporting actors. This is a genuinely elite squad that happens to have a 41-year-old legend at the top of the formation. The press loves to frame it as if Portugal lives or dies with Ronaldo's performance. The truth is that Portugal can win the World Cup almost regardless of how Ronaldo plays, as long as he does not actively hold them back, and he will not. Because, as we already discussed, the Martinez system has been carefully designed to use him without depending on him. Look at the recent Nations League. Portugal won it. They beat the best teams in Europe in a knockout format. The team is in form. The team is confident. The team has tactical clarity. And the team has been waiting for this tournament for 4 years. The bookmakers have Portugal as one of the pre-tournament favourites. The analysts who actually do the work, not just the loud voices on social media, are taking Portugal seriously. The smart money is on this team being in the latter stages of the tournament, which means the question is not whether Ronaldo's team is good enough. The team is good enough. The question is whether Ronaldo himself can deliver the 1 or 2 moments across 7 matches that turn a great team into a trophy-winning team. Because those moments always come down to a finisher, and Portugal has one of the greatest finishers in the history of the sport, standing in the right place at the right time. The final calculation. So let me bring this all together. Let me give you the honest, complete picture of what is about to happen across the next month. Portugal opens against the Democratic Republic of Congo, then the rest of the group stage, then a knockout draw that, in the expanded 48-team format, includes more games than ever before, which both helps and hurts a 41-year-old's body in different ways. It helps because Martinez can rotate Ronaldo, not start him every match, manage his minutes, use him as a closer, as a starter, as an impact substitute, depending on context. The expanded format gives Portugal flexibility that they never had in a 32-team World Cup. It hurts because if Portugal goes deep, Ronaldo is going to have to play in heat and humidity that scientists have warned could be more dangerous than Qatar's winter. The wet bulb temperatures in some host cities are projected to be brutal. For a player at any age, this is a challenge. For a 41-year-old, it is a different category of challenge entirely. The question is not whether Ronaldo will play well. The question is how many minutes Martinez gives him, in which matches, with what role, against which opponents, and whether the moments arrive when Ronaldo is on the pitch rather than on the bench. Here is my prediction, and I want you to hold me to it in the comments. Portugal will make at least the semi-finals of this tournament. Ronaldo will score in the group stage. The knockout question becomes whether his goal arrives in the round of 16, the quarter-final, the semi-final, or the final. If he scores in any of those rounds, his legacy receives the final closing punctuation it has been missing for 20 years. Even if Portugal loses, even if they exit at the semi-final stage, the narrative of his career fundamentally shifts. And if Portugal wins this tournament, if Cristiano Ronaldo, at 41 years old, lifts the World Cup trophy in MetLife Stadium on July 19th, then the entire conversation about the greatest footballer of all time has its final, definitive answer. That is what is at stake. That is the mission. Now, will it happen? I do not know. Nobody knows. That is why we watch. That is why football is the most beautiful sport in the world. Because at the highest level, in the most pressurized environments, the gap between greatness and tragedy is one moment, one mistake, 1 inch of margin in either direction. What I do know is this: the most determined version of Cristiano Ronaldo I have seen in years is walking into this tournament. He is in form. His team is in form. His coach has built a system designed to maximize what he can still do. His teammates have rallied around him. The memory of Diogo Jota is propelling them. The red card scare is behind him. The world is watching. He has had 6 World Cups in his career. The first 5 were chapters in a story that nobody could finish. This is the chapter where he gets to choose the ending himself. If you actually watched this entire video, you are different from the average football fan. Most people clicked off in the first 3 minutes because they wanted a recycled highlight reel. You stayed because you wanted to actually understand what is about to happen. So here is what I want you to do. First, drop a comment below with your prediction. Where does Portugal finish? Round of 16? Quarter-final? Semi-final? Final? Champions? Be specific. I read every single comment, and the predictions that are right are going to look genius in 5 weeks. Second, save this video. Come back to it after each Portugal match, because the story is going to develop in real time, and the things I have said in this video are going to be either validated or destroyed by what actually happens on the pitch. Either way, you are going to want a reference point. Third, if you are new here, this is what we do at the World Cup breakdown. We do not give you highlights. We do not give you recycled headlines. We give you the deeper story behind every team, every player, every storyline at the 2026 World Cup. If that is what you want for the next month, hit subscribe. Cristiano Ronaldo has spent 25 years building toward a single tournament that he has never been able to conquer. In the next 30 days, we are going to find out if the final mission succeeds or if the most decorated career in modern football ends with the one prize still missing. Either way, history is about to be written. I'll see you in the next video. Hit the breakdown and take action.